Republicans believe our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens.
We all deserved a shot at our American dream. And when the cynics said we couldn't, we said, yes, we can.
This is one of the most important elections of our time. I don't know if I rate it more important than the last election, 16, but it's right there.
Republicans had been cutting taxes for the rich, and they'd been cutting rules for the banks and the polluters. And part of the result was we got hit by the worst financial crisis in our lifetimes. Remember that?
Since Election Day, we have created 4.5 million new jobs, and we have lifted 4.3 million people off of food stamps. Think of that.
You know, it's fascinating. By the way, good morning. Welcome to Monday, everybody. Well, we're back to work, and it's always great to be back with you here on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, and coming up, we are going to talk about, well, the Middleton situation, but it's fascinating to see Trump's America versus Obama's America. And before we even get rolling, Liberty Linda joins us now, and you are quite the controversial topic last Friday at the school. Good morning.
I know. Good morning. Well, I'm roaring and ready to go this morning, Kevin.
You are.
Yeah, and I just want to know, did I reach the right place? Is this the progressive conservative milkshake Idaho, as Paula Jordan says?
Continue, please.
Or is this the reddest of red states? I think it's the reddest of red states. Anyway,
well, we will find out. By the way, we're going to be at the Riverside tomorrow night beginning at 8, and we look forward to watching Paulette Jordan lose, to watching all the libs lose, and the more it changes, the more it stays the same.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Anyway, I think that I like it when they say the Dems are creating mobs and the Republicans are creating jobs. Wasn't that a neat statement? I like that one a lot.
I would agree.
Yeah. And I just wanted to I do have a response for Dan, what he said Friday. What I said Friday was correct. I didn't read it out of anyone's book that they wrote about Albert Pike. I read it directly from Albert Pike's book himself. He said it himself, that's what he did. And he did it along with Sir Francis Bacon and the King of England. So I stick to it. What I said was correct. And I didn't know that everyone that called in had to prove everything that they said was correct. I mean, a lot of people call in and say all kinds of things, controversial things that I don't believe in. But that's what we love about your show.
Well, and that's what I was trying to explain. We just we love to let people talk and then let other people go back and forth. And he went back at you pretty good.
I know, and he was really upset with me.
Then he went back at me.
Well, you allow people to say what they feel. Within reason, we have to. I believe that we should love one another. We should be kind to one another, and I would rather be that. But in the same token, we have to stick up for what's right. We have to stick up for our country. I believe we have to stick up for President Trump. He has saved our country. And I believe that's what it's all about today. Someone can call in and say, that they don't agree with what I say, but I was correct in what I said, and I know that, or I wouldn't have said it. I'm tired of people saying that, our founding fathers did something wrong, the people of the United States, when I know it wasn't their fault, and they didn't have anything to do with bringing anyone here. I know that wasn't our fault here in this country. And anyway, so I just had to reach out. I had to say something about it, what I know is truth. And so we heard it first on your show, Kevin.
Well, we love you, Liberty Linda. You take care.
You as well. And, everybody go out and vote.
All right, Liberty Linda.
Vote
take care.
Republican. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And before we get to Dan in Nampa, we'll go to Julia Seymour joining us from the Media Research Center. Julia, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you with us here on KIDO Talk Radio. So here we are. the midterms, all the crazy folks in the media saying that the Democrats are going to win, and we've got the best economy in years, and we have the libs saying, well, it started with Obama. Can you give us the facts, please?
Yeah, they say that, but at this point, Trump's been in office for 2 years. I mean, let's be real here. And even some media are having to admit this. You know, when you have the New York Times reporting last week that the U.S. economy charged ahead in the third quarter, barreled was another word they used because of the 3.5% GDP rate announcement that came out on Friday, which of course was entirely skipped by ABC, CBS, and NBC News that night.
Shocking.
Unfortunately, it isn't anymore. I mean, this is the way they cover the economy under administrations the media don't like. Under Obama, it was the recovery is just around the corner. Remember summer of recovery when it wasn't? I worked through all of those things. I was calling the media out for their bias then, and now their bias is just flipped. And now good economy gets bad or no coverage, except when it's so good, like this past jobs report, that they can't ignore it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. And again, they going back to the point, well, everybody knows that the recovery happened under Obama. And I can remember election night where NBC gleefully was saying that the peso had taken a beating, that the markets were all dire and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as the president starts talking about his economic plan, we see this great revival, this great recovery.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, we saw, consumer confidence actually in the past week just hit an 18-year high. At the same time, even just around the time of the election, the stock market started to decline because they anticipated economic growth, because they anticipated business investment, and the reduction of regulation and potentially tax cuts. All of those things had a market impact. They also had an impact on business surveys and how businesses were feeling about the future. That is indisputable.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think we'll find out tomorrow. But, I think at the Media Research Center, we are going to continue, no matter what happens, to try to hold the media accountable for their bias, for their spin, and especially for their lack of coverage on things that people care about. The economy is still, a top one or second ranked item for voters in this country, and yet the media continue to do a poor job of covering what's going on and admitting that the economy is doing quite well right now.
Julia, how do you see the midterms going here?
I honestly don't know, and I steer very, very far away from political prognostication.
Well, you're the smart one of the group. If people want more information, Media Research Center, Business, Culture, what can they do?
Yeah, drop by newsbusters.org. You'll find the stories I've been writing about the economy over in the MRC business section, but you'll also see that my colleagues are working hard to cover all of the election stuff that's going on. So that'll be right there on newsbusters.org.
Thank you, Julia. You take care.
Thank you.
All right. Dan and Nampa with Kevin Miller on this action-packed Monday morning. Good morning.
It's actually David, but that's okay.
David, that's my bad. I've got to get the glasses fixed. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah. Have you ever thought about doing a voter guide either today or tomorrow? But that's not my main topic. I was just thinking about it. Some lady was talking yesterday, and she said, "There's so many things I don't know what to vote for." And I said, "Because she loves you. She always listens." And I'm wondering. Anyway, something to think about. But listen, I think our president should invoke the Article 1, I think it's Section 9 powers, and start it on the mayors of Philadelphia, the dancing mayor, the mayor of Oakland, and the Congress, and tell everybody else, see what happened to them? And it's what Lincoln did, and it has the Supreme Court law has already said that he had the power to do this, and that is, in the case of rebellion or invasion, they say, why didn't you free the slaves in the North? Because the North wasn't in rebellion. The president has powers. With almost 2,000 illegals coming over the border every day, we've got Caravan 2, Caravan 3, and Caravan 4 starting up somewhere. That one only has a few hundred people in it. I'd say we're in an invasion. And now they're suing even before they get here? That's rebellion. And when 50 mayors say we're going to be sanctuary cities, and when the Congress says we're going to be sanctuary, we're going to vote, you're a fifth column. I'm sorry, and for you government school victims, Generalissimo Franco said I'm going to attack a city. Now I have a column of soldiers on the north, column on the south, column on the east, and column on the west. And when they said, where's your fifth column? He said, my fifth column is inside the city. So they are a fifth column. They are working with invaders. They are in rebellion, and they need to be arrested, just like Lincoln did when he arrested the entire Maryland legislature so they couldn't secede, when he arrested thousands of copperheads, that's Southern sympathizers, again, government school victims. Anyway, so he just needs to do that now. But, we're going to lose our country. Already Macron is talking about Eurabia. 10 years ago, it was jihadis. And now he's talking, I don't want to see our country go. And we can't have people who don't know America, who don't. California has less of a middle class than Mexico or Honduras. Can you believe that? They're coming here. Well, don't go to California. California's crappier. It has very rich, a lot of poor with their hand out, and no middle. It's worse than the countries you left.
Well, and that's really where they want to bring America. They want to destroy the great middle class that has given us the standard of living that is the envy of the world.
Yeah. Again, he needs to, shoot an email to Roger Stone or somebody. I don't know who's got the president's ear. But, we need to do that. And get on it, and start with the mayor of Philadelphia and the mayor of Oakland. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he was dancing on Kate Steinle's grave. Not that he cares about her. He loves lawbreakers. Remember, did you ever see The Dancing Mayor?
No, I didn't.
He came out of a room, and the court had just some horrible person in a black robe, and he started dancing. He closed the door, and he's dancing down the hallway. We were sanctuary city, a sanctuary city. I swear by all that is holy, he did that. And as far as I'm concerned, he's dancing on her grave.
David, we appreciate the call. Thank you, sir. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
Stay back at school for students after those 14 staffers were put on leave yesterday. They were placed on leave for wearing costumes that depicted Mexican people and also a border wall with the slogan, "Make America Great Again" on it. The photos were then posted to the district's Facebook page Thursday night and later removed, but screenshots captured the images and they went viral. Middleton School Board Chairman Tim Winkle says the costumes were part of a team-building activity that took place after school hours. Now, starting tomorrow, when kids return back here at Middleton Heights Elementary, there will be extra administrators at the school and also increased security. The school's district crisis team will also be on hand to provide support to students, staff, and parents. On Wednesday, there will be an all-staff meeting for the purpose of cultural sensitivity training. Training will continue throughout this school year and at the start of each school year moving forward. Now, this is all according to the school district website's page. And again, all the staff that were involved in those photos, they are on leave right now.
And good morning. That's our friends from Channel 7 bringing us the crisis management team at Middleton Heights Elementary. Now, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. By the way, there is a petition now from change.org. 9,000 people have signed it to keep the teachers. They are suspended right now. Folks, we live in a millennial social media, fake, faux outrage world. Now, Ray and I can attest to this. This great industry that we have, talk radio, has changed over the years. In fact, I do a great pre-show with Mrs. Miller about the things that I can't say on the radio anymore. Van Jones described the state of Idaho with Paulette Jordan. You remember that? Maybe you didn't. There's a clip of Van Jones saying, "Cowboys and Indians." Could you imagine if somebody here would say, well, it's about cowboys and Indians? Oh, that's offensive. I'm outraged. So you have some teachers in Middleton that made a seriously dumb decision. When you're a teacher, it doesn't matter what you are. You represent your family. You represent the place you work. And the era of Animal House, and I'm not saying this is Animal House, unfortunately is over. Now, I was trying to explain, in the old days, talk show hosts, we would fire people up and get them angry. And in some parts of the country that you still can do that. That doesn't work here. It's about consensus. It's about working with folks. So the teachers dressed up. They did something horrible. Is it really worth bringing in extra administrators, increased security, and a crisis team for an elementary school? And the entire staff gets cultural sensitivity training. Look, I worked with a gentleman who's a national host now. Great friend of mine. Suddenly he said something on the air. We had the faux outrage. We all had to go to sensitivity training. And people in the media are like people at the shop. They're politically incorrect, except the people that I would say that work in television. Television, you've got to have, you can't have those offhanded jokes anymore. And most of them are driven by the young people that happen to be millennials. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you made a bad call at the line of scrimmage. I can remember in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the stuff I did with Obama. We had that minister on that said Obama and Reverend Wright had an affair. It was just irresponsible on my part. I actually had a production guy put together the theme from Sanford and Son with Reverend Wright and Son, and it was Obama and it was Fred Sanford calling and Reverend Wright calling Obama the big dummy, like Fred Sanford did. I didn't think it was a big deal, but when I got called into upper management because I played the theme to the Jeffersons, after Obama would say something, ha, you're a racist. No, I wasn't a racist. I thought I was doing my job. I didn't air Reverend Wright and Son because of the reaction. Is the school district overreacting? At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Would you want your kids to be taught by these elementary school kids? By the way, this was an after-school event. It was a team-building activity, which makes you which again is even wackier. And of course, in Middleton, the big controversy, and thanks to Pat from Middleton, who's educated me on Middleton, right down the road from the lovely Kingdom of Star. Spent a lot of time in Middleton, nice little park there in the center of town. The high school and schools, like everywhere else, it is a contentious issue. A big contentious issue. So now you've got the bond going up tomorrow, and people are saying, we're not going to pass the bond because the teachers are on administrative leave. We've become too politically correct. What's in my view? Well, I'll give you my view coming up, but I'd love to hear from you first. Let's go to Josh from Middleton with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Josh.
Morning, sir. Hey, first off, I'd just like to say thanks for what you say. You bring a level of morality back to radio, I'd like to say.
Well, thank you, Josh. I try to live up to that, but please, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thanks. Second off, I have a child that goes to a Middleton elementary. It's not this one, it's the other one. I happen to know one of the teachers, and this was not done out of hate. This was a team building experience that they were all doing. Two separate photos. This was not one photo. This was two separate photos that got put together later. This is being blown so far out of proportion and affecting so many people there that have absolutely no hate or ill will towards anyone. So, anyway, that's all I've got, Kevin. I just wanted to, I think it's unfortunate that people don't know the whole story, and this is becoming something that is, it's just absolutely terrible. So
I would agree with you, Josh. I would agree. And, I think that you need crisis managers? No.
No, and shame on these people for coming and protesting at a school. where there's children there and police have to be called out in Middleton, Idaho. This is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Josh, thank you for listening. You have a great day, sir.
You too. Thank you.
Traffic and weather together, 107.5 FM, 580 AM.
What's every Gabbard?
Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. John, Max, and Steve, hang on. You're next. Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And by the way, I do want to thank everyone who showed up for Keeping Idaho Red, the rally yesterday. Got a funny story that I'll share with you coming up. By the way, a week from today, we'll be at Miller's Mission, where we ask you to give a turkey, don't be a turkey. Thanks to our friends at Team Mazda, Subaru, and the Boise Rescue Mission, obviously, and Camping World. Thank you very much for allowing us to feed Treasure Valley families. John, Max, and Lucas, you are next. First, out to Washington, D.C., Fox News Radio. It's home right here in the Treasure Valley on KIDO Talk Radio. Rachel Sutherland joins us, and tomorrow's the big day until the next big day.
That's right. It is the big final push. President Trump and former President Obama were on the campaign trail over the weekend, really focusing on these Senate races. Democrats would need to pick up a net total of 2 seats to take control of the Senate. And, Kevin, they would need 23 seats to assume control of the House. That's considered maybe the more likely scenario. But, of course, Republicans would want to hold on to both. Democrats are hoping for this kind of idea of a blue wave. And as you know, really, typically midterm elections are a referendum on the president's party. But with the polling so close in so many of these races, you look at the key Senate races where it's coming down to the wire. There are several there that we're watching, and I think the president's schedule tells the story. Because tonight, President Trump will spend part of Election Eve in Indiana. That's where Republican Mike Braun is trying to unseat incumbent Senator Joe Donnelly. That's been a big race to watch. And then later tonight, the president will be in Missouri. That's the race where Republican Josh Hawley has a slight lead over incumbent Senator Claire McCaskill. She's really been in a battle royale for this. But I think the last time she was up for re-election, she was behind by some 10 points at some time. But the strategy here for Republicans is to flip these blue Senate seats into red and expand the majority in the Senate, and maybe with understanding that the House may go.
Well, here's the other one. Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh are going to be at this event tonight.
I saw that. I thought it was interesting bringing in some star power. There'll also be Lee Greenwood. So this is the big one tonight in Missouri, and that's going to be at 9 p.m. That's Central Time, I believe. And so it looks like it's that final push to topple Claire McCaskill. So, you know, the idea again, and the president even said as he was getting ready to board Marine One yesterday bound for Georgia, where he was jumping into for Brian Kemp for governor there, he said, look, you know, the Senate is where he's been focusing his attention. And he said, well, there's just, you know, so many House races, I can't be out there for all of them, and that's true, but it's also kind of the Republican strategy here. Democrats are hoping not only to take the House, but to be able to hold on in some of these red states where these Democrats have been really neck and neck. And you know what, Kevin? I can't really say. I mean, I think the conventional wisdom heading in tomorrow is that that Republicans will either hold on to or expand their majority in the Senate, and Democrats could squeak out taking control of the House, but it's just really too close to tell on a lot of these races heading in.
A long night for all of us, Rachel. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Back to the phones. Let's go to Lucas in Middleton with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning. So this thing about the school thing is the saddest thing on earth. I went to go pick up my kid who goes to that school, and they were let out 15 minutes early, so he's there crying, worried where his parents were, of course. And then the teachers are scrambling to close the doors because worried that because the news station was there, they're worried protesters were coming. It's like, did someone murder somebody? It was like the biggest, I don't know, hate-filled thing over some pictures, and then the kids are the ones who suffered. And so today, the teachers are going to be staying inside, and police and administrators will be escorting the kids back and forth from recess to buses. So it's literally insane. So we're keeping our kid home for that shenanigan stuff. It's horribly sad over pictures. Then you have all these people commenting on these news sites and all that. They don't even live in Idaho, sharing post email and go protest all this stuff. It's like, over what? What does this road come to? It's just sad.
Lucas, so they really you had people protesting at the elementary school?
Yeah, correct. And then when I was picking up my son, they had all teachers with walkie-talkies, like the school was on full lockdown. The doors are there checking. I talked to the principal. She said no comment. I talked to one of the ladies. Oh, we're not allowed to comment. Just get your kid and leave. It was just like, it's sad that they have to go through that over some pictures to be, I don't know, I'm mind-boggled by it all. So,
sorry to hear that, Lucas. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. If you're just waking up, the Middleton Heights Elementary School in Middleton, Idaho, apparently you've got people protesting. Today, extra administrators, increased security. They've got the crisis team on hand. And Wednesday, they'll have cultural sensitivity training for the staff. Because on a Facebook page, you had some teachers that, let's face it, it wasn't in their best moment, dressing up as the stereotypical Mexican-like characters, I guess. You know, you can't even find a cartoon of Speedy Gonzales anymore. Slowpoke Rodriguez, because that fits a cultural stereotype. So all the people that watched the Warner Brothers cartoons on Saturday mornings, I guess we need to be re-educated. Not like they did in China, right? When, the Great Awakening, perhaps we'll all be wearing pajamas soon. Which for me, I resemble that remark already. But here you have teachers that have to be held to a higher standard. Now they're suspended. People from all over America, because they really care where Middleton is. They've been to Middleton. Want these teachers fired and everything else. They made a mistake. We all make mistakes, right? I think they've suffered enough. But when you're talking about beautiful little children, somewhere, somehow, these nitwits on social media, these, how should I put this? These folks that have nothing better to do than to protest need to get a life. They really do. Max in Garden City with our great affiliate. I was just seeing Representative Zitto's on the phone. We'll get to her in a minute. But good morning, Max. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. What does our great nation come to when whiners and thin-skinned cretins, they have even invaded our heartland? What is Middleton? Middleton is a nondescript, hick little town stuck in the middle of Idaho. And the communists are even there. They've already taken over virtually every public school in the country. Kevin, what would happen if some Hispanic teachers were to come on to the grounds and have a togetherness team meeting and be dressed in kilts or in British three-piece suits with a Windsor knot? Wouldn't that be the same thing as a Western-type teacher dressing in a sombrero and a poncho? If they're whining about cultural appropriation, and they're whining about their ethnicity, and they want to push this, it's going to be it's going to be uglier than it is now. These are teachers, underpaid, overworked, doing their job, letting their hair down, and here we go. It becomes a national crisis. Oh, let's bring in the psychiatrists and let's bring in drugs for the kids and let's lock it down, because after all, what they did is some form of cultural terrorism. What's wrong here, Kevin?
You've hit the nail on the head here on KIDO Talk Radio, Max. I go back to this why are we having, now everybody's going to get re-educated. Everybody's going to do all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, was it really worth it to dress up this way? Because you're going to have the cascading waterfall of the faux outrage crowd.
I'm going to imagine that what they did was forget that their school district is a police state. In communist China, they have to find you, pick you up, and cart you off to re-education camp. Not in America. No, we're so much better. We'll threaten you with your job. You'll come into work under orders, and you'll be re-educated that way. And be sure they'll be watching you every step of the way.
Max, thank you for the call. Caroline, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Caroline.
Good morning. I just want to say that this sounds like and it smells like the doing of the left. They love to incite aggression, hate towards each other. So we need to open our eyes and see it for what it is. We need to all get along, black, white, red, yellow, whatever. And I see this as, another tactic by the left. I mean, they have been doing this for a long time to incite riots and hate. So I just, I'm Native American, and I love all people. And I know that there's a lot of history behind the Native American tribes, but you know what? That was many, many years ago. It's time to bury the hatchet. So I just want to throw that in and just tell everybody, you know what? I love all people. And we're just going to have to leave it at that, and everybody needs to bury the hatchet and move on. So the teachers, they didn't know. I mean, it's probably a fun thing, creative thing to do, and then somebody takes it out of context, and now it's just a big blow-up. So I don't know. I just think that we need to open our eyes and see what the left are doing all the time. They incite riot, even with his caravan, George Soros. He's funding all these people to come and to, incite aggression. And now we're having to deal with them. It's a shame. It's a shame what this country has come to. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, Caroline, to 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Joining us now, Representative Christy Zitto. Representative Zitto, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you this morning?
Well, we've hit the ground running, and you?
The same. Yep, lots to do. It's a busy couple of days. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all pans out.
Well, we had a great turnout yesterday. A lot of staunch conservatives at the Keeping Idaho Red rally. Your thoughts?
We did. It was a beautiful day, Kevin. The predictions of rain didn't come through. We got sunshine. It was a glorious day. And the reason we were there yesterday is kind of indicative of what you've been talking about today. We need to stop finding fault with each other. We need to stop picking at each other and finding all of these little things that really are not that important in the big picture. Life is too short to spend all of your time being miserable and unhappy, and we can't allow ourselves to be divided. We can't, because that will be the end of it. Divide and conquer. Have us war amongst ourselves. Have us bicker amongst ourselves instead of pulling together for right and truth and light. And I think yesterday was a good event to bring that together, to point that out.
No, I would agree with you on that. It's amazing to me to see the people coming out and to making a stand. How do you think the Republicans will do here in Idaho?
I think they'll do good. I think the Republicans in Idaho will do well. It's still a very conservative state. The people in our state, the citizens of our state, are very conservative. They hold true to those family values, the values of God and family and country. And I think that will be reflected in the election tomorrow.
We'll still be talking about this for quite some time, but the governor's race, does it seem as anticlimactic to you as it does to us, considering what a hard-fought primary we had back last May?
Well, I think that's part of why it feels that way, is because in Idaho, and people will say it, and it's obviously true, oftentimes the primary is the election. And it was hard fought, and it went on for a long time. It wasn't just a 3-month or a 6-month type of election. People were campaigning for the governor's race, if I remember right, Kevin, you correct me if I'm wrong, almost a year in advance of the election. And, it was a hard fought battle. And so, it does make it feel a little anticlimactic after that.
I would agree with you. I was just, I'm amazed at the lack of energy and enthusiasm and really coherentness of the Jordan campaign.
But I am too. I would have thought that, you know, we see the Democrat Party most of the time seems to be a pretty well-oiled, well-run machine on a national level. And I think I was expecting a little bit more of that here on a state level in this election, in her campaign. And so, you know, I don't know the reasons why. I don't know the inside working of her campaign or what goes on, but I was a little surprised as well.
Anything else you'd like to share with us, ma'am?
No, I just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote tomorrow. You know, make your voice heard. Do not be complacent. Don't think just because we live in a conservative state that everything's going to be okay, that all is well, because that's when we get in trouble. It's when we think, you know, that our government leaders will just take care of us and we can trust them implicitly. You need to know who you're voting for. You need to know if they're an incumbent, know their voting record, know how they stand for you. When you go into the polls, no, don't just go in and mark something because it's red or because it's blue. Be informed when you get there, and by all means, get there. Don't not stay home tomorrow. It's just as important now. You know, President Trump has said that this may well be one of the most important elections, you know, in the history of our country. And it may well be. And I believe it's the same. I believe every election can be the most important election in a country. Because, you know, not very many places in the world do we have that right, that protected right to go to the polls and make our voice heard and choose those people who will represent us. So get out there and vote.
Representative Zito, thank you, and you have a great day.
Thank you, Kevin. You as well. Thank you for yesterday. You were awesome.
Well, thanks for the recommendation. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about the midterms and more of your calls. Don't forget, coming up a week from today, Miller's Mission, where we live. That's right, we live and broadcast at the Walmart, Garrity Road and Franklin Boulevard. We would love to see you there. Miller's Mission, where we ask you to give a turkey, not be a turkey. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Gun policy. When you were a state lawmaker in 2016, you co-sponsored a bill that would have allowed Georgia state authorities to take away so-called assault weapons from current gun owners. Most similar bans would grandfather in existing weapons of that sort, semi-automatic rifles that are called assault weapons. So is that your current position, that law-abiding gun owners in Georgia should have to give up those weapons if authorities deem it necessary?
In the state of Georgia, you introduced legislation to start conversations.
Well, just to be clear, you were one of 6 co-sponsors of this bill, a House Bill 731, introduced January 11, 2016, not that long ago. Your co-sponsor told reporters the law, quote, would require gun owners of these particular models to turn their guns in.
And again, my point is this. The legislation introduced was the beginning of a conversation.
Well, just to be clear, though, I'm just trying to understand. So you don't support the actual legislation? You just support having a conversation about it?
No, what I've said is legislation...
You know, there you have it. Stacey Abrams not answering Jake Tapper's question from State of the Union on CNN. You ever notice the libs always try to be conservative when they're running for office, and yet when they come in, they try to drastically change our lives? Don't be fooled by them tomorrow. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 658, 107.5 FM, 580 AM.